Ever heard of a killer? I drop bombs like Hiroshima.
Somebody said, look at LeakYou video. What the fuck is LeakYou? Is it like a site? What's LeakYou? LeakYou. Is it a YouTube channel? Oh, shit. Oh, all right, bet. Here we go.
Please hit the like. Thank you.
One, two, three, four.
Shout out to the LeakYou community. Please join us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music.
Please hit the like. Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. I hope you're having a fantastic Sunday as you are preparing to go back to work tomorrow. Listen, I am coming through with a viral photo, a viral set of photos that's been making the rounds for a couple of days, mostly on Twitter. And may I say, may I just say, shout out to those of you on Twitter. I've got more of you listening to me on Twitter lately than some of my other platforms, and it's been growing like crazy. And it seems like every time I touch this topic, there's so many of you all in there. So I think we're going to have to, I think I mentioned this before, but I'm going to have to talk to somebody about getting a moderator over there. But anyway, I want to talk to you all about Vlad the Alien. Shout out to Vlad the Alien. This is a channel or profile on Twitter that has posted quite a lot of very interesting, useful information over the years. And they definitely caught many people by surprise recently when they posted photos of what is alleged to be an insectoid alien. An insectoid alien, it seems to be very small in nature. I am going to be showing you these photos. But there is also an autopsy report that was included. Apparently, the story goes a little something like this. All right. Goes a little something like this. Give me a sec here. Let me bring up something here. And I'm actually bringing up the actual autopsy report, which happens to be on Pastebin. All right. So essentially, there is, and I'm going to show you these photos, and they're freaky. It's almost hard to distinguish like what it really is. But there was also a visual, this particular insectoid specimen had been massacre. I don't know if that's really the right word, but it had been mangled, right? And so there was actually a drawing of what this being looked like. Now, it is said that these particular insectoids are evolving from termite species, but they're extremely intelligent and they have technology that we don't even understand. Um, Now, this creature, it's kind of disturbing to look at, but I do want to show you the photos. But what it is said is that this was some sort of extraterrestrial entity. I kind of question extraterrestrial at this point. I think that we got a lot of stuff going on Earth that we have no clue about. All right. But uh, these insectoid creatures are quite large, and this one in particular was found in the USSR. Formerly, we know it as the Soviet Union, but back in when I was growing up, we called the Soviet Union the USSR, United. I can't remember what it stood for, but something United Social Republic or something like this. Anyway, there was a document and some photos that surfaced back in 1996. The report itself is very specialized. It has a lot of technical information with a lot of discoveries listed on this report that were really before, or I should say ahead of its time, like the existence of haploids, meaning half the number of chromosomes in somatic cells among worker termites. Again, it is said that these insectoids have somehow evolved from the termite species. Now, if this report had been faked, it would have required a large group of specialized expert biologists with a lot of time and effort. And it contains so much technical information that it's honestly unreadable for the general population, which raises more doubts about, is this an intentional disinformation type of angle? Blah, 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 blah. Now, there's 27 pages in total, but I've got a very brief summary of the findings here. But before I show you the findings, I want to show you photos of this thing. Okay? I want to show you photos of it first. All right, give me a second. Let me share out this tab here. So this is the reconstructed photo of what it is said that this being looks like, right? Hey guys. And I'll make it a little bigger here so you can see, but it looks like a termite, right? But this is the visual reconstruction of this creature based on the autopsy report. Okay. Now let me show you some other photos of it actually, dead. These are actual bites, from my understanding of what this creature has the ability to when they bite down. It's like two little holes essentially. Like these things are eating beings. Like seriously, right? And this is its family line, so to speak, right? How it started off and it became a bipedal entity. This termite evolved into a bipedal entity, which makes us really wonder, do all things evolve? Now, what I really find to be very interesting, and you have to take your time to really look at this photo, right? And it is in Russia, but if you pay attention, you just take your time, you can see the eyes, the head, obviously the neck. You can see a little hand right here, a very small hand. And you can also see what I really like about this photo is you see this man here, he's got his hand in a scalpel. And it looks, quite scientific. I mean, why would anyone take a picture like that? It's got the whole metal, or not metal, but the tinfoil blanket going on. you know, very strange looking creature, right? But allow me to give you some brief findings. All right. Allow me to give you some brief findings really quickly. Hold that thought. Hold that thought. All right. So here's some of the summary of the findings from the autopsy report and other information, right? So the autopsy report describes this creature as an insectoid worker species, reaching a length of 2.5 meters when its lower limbs are extended. These species are most closely related to termites. Their cells are much larger than the cells of known animals. Their sizes can reach 100 micrometers. A portion of its tentacle apparatus, not used for upper limb formation, has evolved into organs for breathing and vocalization. It is also bipedal, meaning it walks on 2 feet. These creatures, now, if we're not classifying these creatures as aliens, then they would definitely be classified as a cryptid. All right. If you're not familiar with cryptid, then with what a cryptid is, it's creatures that are unknown. Shout out to Jon Stewart. Much love to Jon Stewart. That may be him under that account, Hunting Victor, the documentary. That means we're getting closer. And I'm going to go check that out as soon as I'm done. Speaking of John, Jon Stewart, and actually I may even replay that interview again. I put it in a playlist, but I had an amazing interview with Jon Stewart regarding the alien interview that was released back in, I think it was 96, 97. And a lot of you may remember that tape where we seen an actual alien being trying to do a thought-provoked, interview. There's been a lot of talk about who was in that room. And I think John has some information on that, but I've heard a lot of names. And I've even heard, someone who's no longer alive that could have potentially been in that room. But, I can't wait to see this documentary. But John has been making the rounds of the vlogs. I've been watching it. I've been keeping up with him. He's been interviewing, around to different vlogs, and I'm so happy for him because it allows, he's trying to get the story out there. It helps with disclosure, and it's really, really, really good to see you again, John. So I just for that, I'm going to have to play our interview again because it was an amazing interview where we talked in detail about this alien interview that was done. And what's funny, John has haters, right? Like I have haters. And I found myself on a list the other day. Some list on Facebook somebody had up. There were all the interviews that John's been on, right? And they were calling us fakers and all this type of stuff. And I'm just like, really? Like, you don't even know who I am, but whatever. We all have haters. It comes with this, right? And when we're dealing with things that are just, people can't even imagine the thought that an alien being is actually real. To them, they dismiss it so quickly because it's not real for them. It's just not real for them. A lot of people don't believe it until they see it. But hey, it is what it is. But yes, I thought that was funny. I chuckled at it and went on about my business. So anyway, shout out to Jon Stewart. We'll have to try to have him back again to kind of give us an update on what he's been doing lately. But yes, definitely when you're searching things, search his name. He's been doing some really good vlogging and interviews with other vloggers out there, and they are interesting, let me tell you. All right. So back to this creature that has seemingly evolved from a thermite to be a bipedal being. All right. These photos we were just looking at. Let's talk about this a little bit more. So These creatures have developed exoskeletal structures, including limbs, due to climatic changes, facilitating locomotion and leading to an increased brain development. Their blood system is advanced. They have specialized vessels and organs that are dedicated to efficient circulation and oxygenation, basically, proto lungs. This has allowed them to adapt to lower oxygen environments underground where they actually can grow in size. You did hear me when I said they can grow up to 2.5 meters and they walk on two legs. Could you imagine a bug, an insect walking towards you on two legs that's 2.5 meters tall? That would freak me out just a little bit. Now, they don't have a waste disposal organ. Instead, they do secrete their waste through their skin, which is why they're known to have a horrible smell, which witnesses have frequently reported. And how often have we talked about, even especially with the things that have went on in Dolce, right? The experiments, the things that, on Nightmare Hall, how these beings, they don't have a way to use the restroom to secrete their waste. There's also rumors that these beings not only secrete their waste through their skin, but that they take in nutrients through their skin. And I'm going to say this, but please, viewer discretion is advised. Some creatures are known to get nutrition by soaking their skin in blood. That is in some of the Dolce reports, which we should revisit that again soon as well. Now, so the autopsy report, it contained a lot more specialized technical information, but it's not readable for most of us, and it's in Russian, right? So, thankfully, we've had a few biology experts that have been able to translate and give us this brief summary. And there is a man that I will point you to named Edward Agon. He is a PhD in biochemistry. He analyzed this report, and he is the one that provided more context and photographic evidence in his book called Real Monsters. His research led him to a conclusion that this report most likely originates back in 1985 and was done in the Institute of Evolutionary Physiology and Biochemistry, named after I.M. Sechenova in St. Petersburg. He based it on analyzing funding patterns, personnel changes in an underground secret complex that had been built under the Institute during those years. He also attached photographic evidence of an autopsy of one of these creatures, which was performed in field conditions. And again, this is the autopsy that was performed during in the field. And you can see, if you just let your eyes just kind of relax, especially the middle photo, you can see two eyes. You can see a hand here, a neck, a very long neck. And it's almost hard to tell what else I'm looking at because I'm not a veterinarian or a specialist in termites. Okay. But I know that what I'm looking at would scare me to half to death, knowing that it walks on two legs and that it's 2.5 meters tall. 1 meter is pretty tall, right? 2.5 meters? Would your heart not fall into your stomach if you ran across something of this nature? My goodness. Ugh. We are not alone, people. There's so much going on in this world that we've not even discovered. Okay. Now, note that due to the angle of the photo, the head of the creature does appear smaller than what it actually is. The head of this creature is roughly the size of a human head. The creature in the photo actually matches closely with the creature that was described in the autopsy report. Now, Edward went on to speculate that these beings originated roughly 200 million years ago and are closely related to modern termites. They were forced underground during the Permian extinction event and have been living there since, as they are best adapted to lower oxygen environments, which has also allowed them to grow quite large. Edward also noticed a lot of similarities with a leaked Q94 109A report by Dan Burrish, where cellular structures of extraterrestrial biological entities, EBEs, were analyzed, and their findings are remarkably similar to the research of the Soviets, especially the cell size. Most likely, both Soviet and American researchers were looking at the same species. And again, this is the evolutionary tree that was developed from this. Okay, this is the evolutionary tree. Let me make this a little bigger for you. So they started off, right? And we just kind of, look at this. Now they're standing. Okay, we got 4 legs there. And you can see their legs then went backwards, right? We can see the differences. They literally, this is very scientific. And then now we've got this. We've got them standing on 2 legs at 2.5 meters tall. It's incredible. Incredible. Hey, Third Eye, good to see you. So, it makes me wonder, does every animal somehow evolve into something different? Will snakes eventually walk on 2 legs? That sort of a thing, right? It just makes one wonder. Now, the insectoid in the autopsy report was listed as a worker, but they are part of a larger caste system. They are much smarter, higher castes who possess advanced technologies, and listen to this, even perform religious rituals. That being, I just showed you. Matter of fact, let me download the picture really quick, and I'd like to upload it and put it up while I'm telling you this. I know it's nuts, but religious rituals, people. These beings, this being has the ability to perform religious rituals, which means it has a sense of intelligence, right? Along with the fact that they possess advanced technologies. Who knows what those technologies are? But they're technologies we don't have. Now, the higher castes in their large caste system are bigger and have larger eyes, which makes their heads appear triangular. This makes them visually similar to a mantid, which has been commonly reported by contactees and abductees. Shout out to Ted Rice. Shout out to Alien Talk. I've listened to all of Ted Rice's vlogs. Over at Alien Talks on Spotify. Sometimes they'll put a clip or 2 on YouTube or whatnot, but I'm over on Spotify listening to it all, right? And he's talked about these mantids and his experience with these mantids and how frightening his experience has been with these mantid beings. So they definitely eat meat. Now, for a little, and viewer discretion advised, close your ears. If you have children in the room, send them out, because what I'm about to tell you is some more details, but it's quite disturbing. These insectoids are considered predators. Their primary food source is the fluids of warm-blooded animals. It provides them with the necessary nutrients and iron. Becoming a predator allowed them to have a much larger brain size. Again, their heads are as big as human heads. The mouth of a worker has 2 long fangs, which inject digestive fluid as well as a powerful pumping mechanism for sucking out body fluids. Their stomachs can hold up to 20 liters of liquid, which is pre-digested and can be thrown up so that insectoids from other casts can consume it. Now, Edward speculated that this is where the vampire myth may have come from. This also, could explain the chupacabra creature reported all over the world. But I'm going to be honest with you. I live in Texas. I'm very familiar with the chupacabra creature, and I don't think that's it. The chupacabra creature is the chupacabra. It looks like a hairless dog, and it's got fangs, and it's scary. And it likes to suck the blood of warm-blooded animals as well. Now, these beings mostly attack livestock, but human casualties have been documented. There's also further proof of their crypto-terrestrial origin, as beings who evolve on other planets wouldn't have the necessary adaptations for digesting Earth animals, right? So again, the author has speculated, Edward Agon has speculated, that this is not the main way to get food for their society, but they take, small hunting trips of their worker castes. The higher castes have much more efficient and industrial food processing methods. All those cattle mutilations by UFOs are not for research or biomaterial gathering purposes. They are large-scale food processing operations. This has also been corroborated by abductees such as Ted Rice and others. It's interesting, Ted was listed in this article, who have witnessed large vats with human and animal body parts present in UFO ships. This could also explain a lot of missing persons cases and their interest in wars, conflicts, and natural disasters, which provides an opportunity for people to go missing without drawing attention. And I've even mentioned this on this show so many times. Right now in Ukraine, for example, they are having sightings of UFOs on a daily basis. Daily. Ever since the wars kicked up, there are daily sightings of UFOs. When Vietnam was going on, daily sightings of UFOs and other strange things, right? Every war, there seems to be this increase. World War II, there was the Foo Fighters, right? Some have wondered why. Is it possible that these beings are collecting bodies or substances from bodies that may be on the battlefield? What is their interest? Why is there so many there? And it seems to be so many of different types, right? But anyway, according to Edward Agon and Anton Amfiloff, they believe that the Greys and the Nordics were genetically engineered by insectoids and are treated as disposable workers. They can be easily controlled, and higher caste mantids don't care if they crash on ships and are retrieved by humans. That paragraph, it confuses me a little, because I would think at least the Nordics and the Greys, the tall ones at least, they've, when I think of them, I think that they have their own thought processes, that like they're not like the little robot workers, like the little small Greys. But wouldn't that be interesting if that was the case, that a mantid created them and they don't care if their ships crash? I don't know. Anyway, the existence of predatory terrestrial insectoid species is one of the biggest secrets that our government tries to hide from us, the general population. Do you think they have a right to do so? No, I don't think so. Yeah, sure, it may freak everybody out. Sure. But if there is a threat to our lives, we have a right to know because we have a right to protect ourselves in a way that we deem fit. And unfortunately, when the government gets to hiding things, it's like then they start throwing everything under the rug, right? It's time to let this stuff out. We can take it. We already know pretty much. The world already knows, but it's time for the government to loosen up and release this information to the public. Period. Let the fear freak everyone out. So be it. We will get over it. Just like we got over COVID, just like we've gotten over every other horrible world event that's ever happened. We will be fine. And is it possible that all this talk about aliens from outer space, is it a cover story that's used to divert attention from the actual real origin of these beings right up under our feet? I think that is a possibility. And obviously, if we're prey, they wouldn't want us to be aware, right? Something to think about. There's a lot much more complex species out there. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, everyone. It really is. This the tip. The tip. There are things going on in this world that would surprise many of you. And a lot of you would never even believe it. You wouldn't be able to bring yourselves to believe it. But I found this information to be quite interesting. And one thing I wonder is, do they have a queen in their caste system? Like the way, ants and termites do? And if so, I wonder what that queen looks like. Anyway, I wanted to bring this information to you for your knowledge. Definitely appreciate each and every one of you that came through to chop it up with me on this great Sunday. I do plan on doing another live later on tonight here on the LeakYou.com platform. And shout out to those of you on Twitter. I have more of you watching on Twitter. And keep coming back. I appreciate it. And these are the types of stories that I cover pretty much on a daily basis. But you guys, I do appreciate each and every one of you. Before we get up out of here, though, allow me to pay a few bills if you don't mind. Shout out to the LeakYou community. Please join us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music.
Please hit the like. Thank you.
And definitely get over and subscribe to Hunting Victor, the documentary channel on YouTube, please. Get over there and subscribe, and I'll make sure to share it out on my community wall. But that is a channel you definitely want to put on your subscription list because lots of information, good information, coming out of that channel just from John period. So again, guys, thanks for coming through. I'm out of here. I'll see you when I see you. If you guys have any stories that you want me to cover, or if you have been abducted or had an experience with a being of any type that was non-human, or if you have a story that needs to get out, you can reach me at LeakYou@LeakYou.com. I will tell you that the LeakYou.com mail server is just as secure as Proton Mail. We use TLS 1.3, which is how Proton Mail secures their communications in transit. It's exactly the same. So you can reach me securely. I am very private. I will not give up my sources. and we can do it however you want. You don't have to be on camera. You don't even have to do it live if you don't want to. But if there's something that you have, or even information that you want to get out to the public, take a picture of it. If it's paperwork, scan it, whatever you want to do. And you can drop me an email at LeakYou@LeakYou.com. So I'm out, guys. Until next time, everyone.
The judgment sentence that you are an asshole. The trial is over. Thank you, everybody.
Let's play a game. You have 10 seconds to take all your stuff and get out of my life. 10, 9, 8.
God bless you, motherfucker.
You're really smart. Like really, really, really smart like I am.